Hey Facebook friends, how you doing? Or maybe you're listening to this later, but this is Tina Lorenz. I'm your freelance copywriting mentor, mindset shifter, and transformational business coach, coming to you live from world headquarters here in Tucson, Arizona on a beautiful, beautiful morning. And I want to talk to you today about how success unfolds, and sometimes it kind of sneaks up on you a little bit. So this past few days ago, I did a live workshop, 2 hours long, actually 2.5 hours long by the time I did the Q&A at the end, and it just was really solidly packed with content all the way through from start to finish. And so some of the questions that have been coming in since then have been, well, how fast can I do something with this? How fast can I succeed? And so I wanted to talk to you for a few minutes today about how success unfolds and starts revealing itself to you. And the way I'm going to share that with you is with just a few little stories about students that have been in my program with me, who are in my programs with me right now. Now, what I want you to keep in mind as I'm telling you these stories is the times, these unprecedented times, as it's often referred, I say this is a way overused word right now, but kind of there's not really another one that describes it better than the situation we're all dealing with globally, right? I mean, it's a pandemic. And so a lot of people might say, well, you can't build a business now. You can't start a business now. You can't depend on being able to create a revenue for yourself now. Can you? Or can you? Because there are seeds of opportunity all around you right now, today, in real time. And so let me tell you about a couple of, a few women that have been through my program and something they all have in common, okay? So let's start with Alice. Alice came into my mentoring program, and within a very few weeks, she was working let me back up a little. She was working for a Christian book publishing company, had been there for more than 2 decades, right? But she was called to do something of her own. She really was being pulled to that. So she came into my program, and we started setting that intention. Mindset, it comes into all of this, right? We started setting that intention of what it is she wanted to achieve, what she wanted to be able to create. And one of the things of several that she wanted to create was a coaching program. She wanted to create a coaching program for people who have their books published and don't know how to market their books themselves, right? And so she set her intention, and within just a few weeks, she started saying, this is really crazy, because people are contacting me, asking me if I have a coaching program, and she hadn't even begun advertising it or doing anything to promote it yet. So what did she do? She started saying yes, right? Answer the need as it's arriving at your doorstep, instead of holding back and saying, I'm not ready, I have to get ready, I don't have it prepared, I got to get ready to get ready. She said, no, I'm going to go for this. What happened for her was several things. Not only did she fill that coaching program very quickly, in a few more months she was able to leave her job. Her job actually hired her as a consultant, still paying her on her terms, on her turf, for her perimeter of power, to bring her excellence to them in a different capacity. She got her funnel. We were talking about funnel copywriting. She got all the copy written for her funnel. She got her funnel up and running. She started having people coming through that were paying her for another aspect of her services. And guess what happened? She created her first 6-figure year rather rapidly. And now she's scaling. Right now, in this year of our Lord, 2020, she's scaling that business even now. So that was Alice. Now, another story I'm going to tell you about is Colleen. Colleen is a massage therapist. Colleen was opening her clinic this year for massage therapy. Well, guess what happened? Pandemic hit, right? She had to close down that office. She had to pivot very quickly because that was no longer an option. So what did Colleen do? She had a little side thing that she'd been kind of playing around with. And so she ramped up that side thing she was doing using the copywriting strategy she was learning in my program and learning the marketing, because Colleen told me she came into this with no marketing experience at all. She was a massage therapist. She didn't know how to do the marketing. But she took what she got in my mentoring program, and guess what she did over just a few months' time? She created $50,000 in revenue. She wrote to me saying, I was waiting till I hit this mark to tell you this is what's happening, and now I'm working on the next 50,000. That was Colleen's journey, right now in this year. Next, let's talk about Susie. Susie learned the one-page strategy that's part of my mentoring program. She learned a one-page strategy for copywriting and client acquisition. She very quickly, not only did she ramp up her fees by, I'm thinking at least, 10 times or something like that. I don't have the exact numbers. But she ended up with a client that wanted her to do the one-page strategy for them on a regular basis for something super exciting. And I'll just give you one little hint, a television show, a pilot for a television show. Okay, Hollywood, here we come, right? Doing that one-page strategy, she now has a retainer of a very robust 4 figures a month, plus she's still getting other clients on top of that, along with that. It's not even a full-time thing that's doing that. That's Susie. Next, let me tell you about Piper. Piper came into my program feeling like, I'm not sure I can do this. This was really something that she was really a mindset issue, right? Well, Piper took the strategies that I teach in my mentoring program, put them to work, and she went from $1,800 a month revenue to $7,500 revenue, now to $9,000 a month revenue, and is part-time. She's not working full-time. She took the strategies that I gave her to overcome a mindset issue she was having about how she could serve this particular client at a certain type of level. And when she said, I'm just going for it, I'm going to believe in this, I'm going to do the thing you're telling me to do, that's what happened. Her clients actually even flew her to one of their locations to interview and get really acquainted with what they were doing, right? Again, here's 2 things they have in common. Happening during a pandemic, that's the first one. And here's the second one. Ladies, I hope you don't mind. Everyone's over 50. I think actually over 55. and we're all vintage. We're timeless. let's say that. They're not people that came in with tons of experience, and they're not women that came in with, I'm just getting started. I'm all over social media. I already know all these things that I do on social media, and I have an audience, and I'm just taking it next level. No, they were all like me, a little bit later in the blooming department with really coming to understand what they have to offer. They're each one of them beautiful women that each have strength and ability and past experience that all comes together now. And the really essential aspect was that intentional thinking mindset aspect that I build as a foundation under everything I teach, along with that spiritual connection, that spiritual feminine divine, the divine feminine power, right? And they've actually said this to me, that this is something that they were really wanting to bring into their life, and they are. I have so many other stories beyond this, but what I want you to really get is how possible this is. And what you really have to understand, and that's the 2 things I wanted to say, during a pandemic and mature women, okay, with life experience, rich with life experience that they bring to the table with this, and being able to deal with higher ticket clients. Hey, we're talking Hollywood film production. We're talking, I'm not going to reveal her niche, but some very powerful men, right, in a particular niche that she had some past experience of being familiar with, that she's been able to leverage into exactly what's happening now. Colleen, coming from a position of power, but not understanding how much power she actually had when it came to really finding her voice. And now she's creating a program. She's creating a program for massage therapists, and I'm sure she'll be very successful with that because she understands now how to take it next level. And Alice, she's just happily going along. Last time I spoke to Alice, which was just within the last month or so, right now, she is booked to the end of this year, the end of 2020. She's already booked with copywriting clients, right, that are just waiting in line, patiently waiting, because they only want to work with Alice, and for good reason, because she's an amazing woman. So what I'm going to ask you now is, how are you stopping yourself? What is it that you're telling yourself right now that's an old, dusty old story that you keep on bringing out and saying, this is why I can't do it. This is why this isn't possible. I'm scared, I'm nervous, I'm frightened, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't live in the right town, I'm not the right age, I don't have the right experience, I've never done this before. What old story are you running? What program are you running? And if you are, I want you to understand it's really not your fault if that's what's happening. It really is not. Because each of us are programmed, so to speak, from the time we're tiny little babies, fresh in the world. Whatever is coming in is getting embedded in our brains. And even with loving parents, which some of you are very blessed to have had very loving parents, they still may not be aware of how many times they're telling you, with good intentions, many times, what you can't do and why you can't do it, right? I've had people in my program say they're coming out of the closet, and what they mean is they're telling people they are freelance copywriters. They're telling people in their circle, they're telling their partners, they're telling people in their lives, they are owning it, that they are now freelance copywriters, and some with some trepidation because they know they might get some pushback. They know they might get some toxic energy. They know they might have other people's limiting beliefs and old stories try to come into their world and be put on them like a sponge, like you're supposed to just soak up other people's limitations. Think about that. Think about that for a minute. How many of you are letting someone else's old story, someone else's limiting belief, someone else's belief about who you are or what you're capable of turn into yours? That you're willing, and I'm saying this, you may not be aware, but you are allowing it to be absorbed into your way of thinking, your way of believing, your ability to take action or not, your ability to move forward into something you might truly want to do or have a dream that you want to see unfurl, but you're letting someone else stop you. This is so common. It happened to me also. I grew up with quite a bit of toxic energy. I was never told that I could achieve anything. There was never an expectation that I would achieve anything. I was made to feel less. I was made to feel foolish. I was made to feel cheap. A lot of things that I was told, labels that were given to me. Here's a kind of a funny one. I can laugh at this now. But I used to be made fun of in my family because I talked too much. They thought I talked too much. I needed to be quiet, right? And I wasn't a kid running around getting in, like screaming through the house or anything like that, but I liked to tell a story. I would imagine things out loud. I wanted to have conversation. And so I was literally labeled as the one that talked too much. But isn't it ironic? And isn't it a beautiful thing that something that might have been one of my early gifts when I was just a child, something that it was an ability that I had and a love of words that I had from the time I was a kid, has turned into my life work, has turned into something that is changing other people's lives. That's one of the most exciting things about this to me, that that family for me are those people whose lives I am changing by sharing exactly what my journey's been and teaching how you can have your own journey using the structure and the formulations that I have figured out and implemented for myself, and how I was able to change my life through freelance copywriting, and how my freelance copywriting has changed the lives of those I serve, who went from being unknowns online to being multimillionaires, to having a product that wasn't doing very well, to having 33% conversion rates, to getting heard, to getting found, to having that impact, to reaching their people. That's that second level of impact. And that third level of impact is the ones they serve, their audiences, the ones that are looking for the solution they have. So it starts with you, it extends to those you serve, your clients, and it extends a third level beyond that. If this sounds like something that, are you kind of feeling like, what if I could do that? What if I could do that? Well, you know what? What if you could? What if you could change those old stories that you're running in your brain right now? That little voice that's saying, oh, well, yeah, but that's for them. That's not for me. Listen, every single one of these women has a story. Every single one. Just like you, just like me. Every single one has their own story, their own journeys of times where they were humiliated, where they were put down, where they were ignored, where they were marginalized, where they were minimized by someone else's program. Someone else running their program and expecting them to fit into it. And so many of us, unknowingly, and even unwillingly sometimes, have done exactly that. I've done it. Maybe you've done it too. So what I want to share with you is, it doesn't have to keep being that way, and it doesn't matter where you are in your life. It's not too late. It's not too late. All of these women I'm telling you about, including myself, were past 50 when they started doing these things. Past 50, okay? Some of them further past 50. And it's entirely possible. But it starts with what you believe about yourself and what you believe you're capable of. That's where it starts. So, all this to say, if this is intriguing to you at all, if this feels like, wow, I love words. My husband, it was so awesome last night because one of my mentors, one of my early mentors, before I even knew he'd been a copywriter, was my surrogate father, Peter. Peter worked on Madison Avenue. He worked with David Ogilvy. He knew John Caples. Yes, Peter's almost 100 years old now. And I met him 20-some years ago, right? He was already retired. And the funny thing about it is we met through our RV lifestyle. He and his wife, Edith, had sold out their home in New York, just outside of New York City. She was a newspaper publisher. He was a Madison Avenue copywriter. But when we met because we had the same kinds of RV. We both had custom built RVs from the same company. And so we were actually in an RV park right here in Tucson, Arizona, before I ever lived here. And we met each other because we said, hey, you have one too. That kind of a conversation. We became friends with this older couple and who took an interest in what we were doing also. I did not know what copywriting was when I first encountered Peter. As I came into that and decided this is what I was going to do, and I started to share a little bit about what I was doing, that's when I found out the level of copywriting Peter had done. Do you remember that? Maybe some of you ever heard of this. There was like a penny campaign with a Reader's Digest where they sent in pennies. All kinds of things that Peter was part of. He was part of that. He knew these greats on Madison Avenue and had a very, very successful, he was a vice president of the advertising agency that they were involved in. And so he became a casual mentor to me. We'd be sitting outside with our RV somewhere. We would meet up in some part of the United States and sit down and spend time together. We would make a plan for where we were going to meet in Florida and Arizona and California and Idaho and Oregon. And they became like surrogate parents to us, because one of the things I got from Peter and Edith, and I'm not going to cry on this video, but was a belief in me. A belief in me. Not going to cry. I hadn't gotten that before. Hang on. Didn't know I was going to do this today. Ron, my husband, was talking to Peter last night. Peter lives in assisted living now. Sadly, Edith passed away a couple of years ago. I actually did a Facebook Live about it a couple of years ago, about her loss. And Peter now is painting, and he swims every day, and he's staying healthy. And we still talk to him every single week until we can go and see him again. And one of the things Ron told me after their conversation last night, because I was writing some emails last night, he told Peter how proud he was of that this girl with a high school education and a love of words was able to do what I'm doing right now. That just means so much to me, and it can mean like that much to you too. When someone believes in you, and is there for you as a mentor also. That's what I needed, and I found it accidentally in Peter. Along the journey, I'd already started writing copy, and when we would get together, I would print out the latest sales letter I was working on, and I would read it aloud to him. Around the campfire, so to speak, I would read it to him. He and Edith would listen and pay so much attention and give me such great feedback, and they were always just like, wow, I am amazed at this, Tina. I am amazed at what you're doing. I can't even tell you how much that boosted me, how much that carried me forward, how much that helped me really believe in what I was doing, because it was early on in my copywriting journey. And this is something I don't talk about very often because of this, okay? Hang on, I'll get it together here in a minute. Because this is important. That when you have that kind of someone believing in you that hold you as powerful until you can do what Alice has done, what Susie's done, what Piper's done, what Colleen has done, with what many, many more of my students have done and are doing right now. Another little shout out to another Tina, Tina that's in my beginning program, even my Authentic Copy program, who came in as a barrel racer with a hip injury, who couldn't ride anymore, and really didn't know if this whole copywriting thing was for real or not. She's only been in the program for 2 months. 2 months. She's already got 30 people in a private membership for teaching them about barrel racing, right? Horses racing around barrels, right? And she has her first 2 copywriting clients. She had never done anything like this before. She was skeptical when she began. I had a conversation with her and I said, your background is in barrel racing, horses, huge market, go for it. This is what you can do with it now. Even if you aren't writing right this minute because your hip isn't allowing you to, because guess what, she's not a kid either, right? You can take this and turn it into something for yourself. With these copywriting strategies, with understanding the mindset of it and that spiritual connection, you can begin right now. She had her first 20-something, I think 27 people in her membership in the first 30 days of working with me. Paid membership. Several of them have paid for an entire year already. She didn't know how to do this. She didn't have any of the tech skills. She just used Facebook to create a private Facebook group that was a paid Facebook group. She just went ahead and did it. She didn't say, I can't do this. I can't do it because of this. I haven't got enough experience to do that. I don't really believe that this will work. She didn't do that. She quickly overcame her initial anxiety and skepticism by changing how she was thinking about this, and she's on her way within the first 60 days. Actually, she was on her way within the first 30 days, within the first 4 weeks of the program. This is what can happen. So proud of you too, Tina. What was one Tina to another? Proud of you. Proud of every single student I work with when they make these steps and they start taking these bigger leaps forward. It starts getting bigger. It starts getting bigger. That's why I call it accelerated entrepreneur. Wherever you're at in your journey, this is how you literally put your the pedal to the metal, right? You step on the fuel, you step on that accelerator, and away you go. I almost said step on the gas, but I drive diesel rig, so you step on the diesel, doesn't exactly work. So what I did last week was a live workshop, a free one. It's long, I'll tell you right now. I spent a couple hours just teaching, right? I spent an additional 30 minutes live answering questions. And so one of the questions was this: how fast can I go? Where can I go with this? So if you're interested in watching the replay, it's still available right now, but only until tomorrow night, Monday night. It's available right now. And I really recommend that if you have any curiosity about this, you carve out some time, especially today on a Sunday. You might have some time today that's just kind of quiet time for yourself. You do have to fill out a little application to get to that replay. It's free, and I'm going to put the link here after I'm done. I'll put the link here in the description. I think on Facebook Live it's underneath. I'll point both ways. It'll be here somewhere. You'll find it. I'll put the link here for you. But I really encourage you, because the replay won't be available ongoing. So take a look. Take a listen, learn, pay attention, write some notes, and allow your heart and spirit to tell you what's right for you. Tell you what's right for you. Now, there is a little application, because you know what? If it's not right for you right now, this level, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you. Because we only work with people that it's the right fit. It's the right time to take that level. Have other options if this particular one isn't right for you right this very minute. But you can begin exactly where you're at right now, changing your life. Don't let the media tell you something different. Don't let the news tell you something different. Don't let different sides of the aisle tell you something different. Just listen to your own heart and spirit. Let a divine source tell you. Let the highest authority tell you. Let that power guide you. That's what I encourage you to do. I had someone say to me the other day, I'm praying about whether this is right for me. And I said, that's exactly what you should do. That's exactly what you should do. Follow that path that's right for you. No one else can tell you that. Only you can tell yourself that, from that inner source, from that inner voice, from that celestial guidance that is available to you if you believe in anything outside yourself, which I do, and it's part of this program. So if you don't, you might not like this program, because we also heavily rely on that deep spiritual guidance, that divine source, that feminine energy. And we have men too, but a lot of times I have women on my Facebook Live, so I'm just saying, if that's you, and if we have men that are joining right now as well, and I believe that divine energy is for you as well. I mean, let's face it, it's for all of us. It's for all of us. So that's what I've got for you today. I'm hoping you have a beautiful day. I hope that there's something about this that gives you that hope, that belief, that spark that says, I can do something more. I'm called to something more. I have people to serve. There are people out there waiting for your voice, your experience, your unique you. You're not going to try to be me or Colleen or Piper or anyone else. You're going to be you. You're going to do this by being you, and I promise you, there is a story in there, and there is a calling in there. If you feel pulled to it, listen to that. That's one of the first things about that divine guidance, is when you feel that little glimmer, that deep intuitive knowing and prompting, pay attention to it, okay? Very, very important. I have many stories about that in the times when I didn't, in the times where, well, one of them nearly finished me off, right? And so you forgive yourself for those not listening times, and you say, I'm going to tune up those antenna, I'm going to tune up my heart and spirit and soul, I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to pay attention. Just pay attention, okay? All right, that's what I've got for you. Sorry for the little, no, I'm not. Actually, let me correct myself. Not sorry. Taken by surprise, but not sorry. Because what needs to be said is said. What needs to be heard is heard. And maybe you're watching this right now saying, I needed that. I heard that. I felt that. And I know that was meant for me, because that's what I do. And I just trust that process wherever that takes me. I hope that it will take you somewhere as well. That's a meaningful and important part of your journey. I think I've said goodbye 3 times. This time I'm saying it for real. I'll be back here to post in the comments, and I'll talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Love you.